Moving on now with the Townsend Public Affairs Inc. presentation on grant writing work for the City of Selma.
Okay. Good evening.
Welcome.
And the presentation started. So this is the second time in a week I've had to follow police officers swearing in, which is a terrible place to be in. No one wants to look at me when just had a bunch of officers sworn in.
Yeah, but everybody just had some cake, so we're ready to roll.
They're all relaxed. Okay, perfect. You can go to the next one. So Richard Harmon with Townsend Public Affairs. This is sort of the quarterly update that now it looks like is happening like every 2 months, which is totally perfect. We'll see you again probably in June. Just some of the things we're going to cover. We can go to the next one. We're going to cover probably each of these. So I want to give it, I think the reason we were here so quickly this time, some of the recent activities. So Fresno COG I guess it's every year, every couple of years, offers a program on transit-oriented development out of the Measure C dollars. And it wasn't until the last cycle, which was I think was cycle 6, they opened that up to cities other than Clovis and Fresno to provide capital improvements and things like that to support housing around transit, get people out of their cars, make communities walkable, et cetera. So up until last year, it was only available to those 2 cities. Last year, the city of Kingsburg received a planning grant from them to do some planning activities related to transit-oriented development. I'll call it TODs, it's easier. So this year, we were looking for opportunities with the city to also participate, because I think it's important for the city to take more of a leadership role. We talk, in Sacramento right now, there's all this talk about housing and doing it around transit and what the state should look like, how much housing can we build. And when I was talking to Fresno COG last week, I told them it's important. Not every community in California looks like San Francisco. And even down here, not every community looks like City of Fresno. We're all different. But we all want to model the way and show that we believe in, the benefits of out of vehicles, being close to transit, connectivity. So we really wanted to participate in this grant program. So we submitted an application. It was called the Selma Downtown and Civic Center Transit-Oriented Improvements. And it basically looked at the work that was going on around the Civic Center with the construction of the new police station, making Tucker Street out here one way, how that would impact the current transit stop just right out here. So we looked at an application that would fund moving that over here onto 3rd Street, as well as doing some sidewalk and corner ramp improvements in some of the neighborhoods, because some of the neighborhoods you have here around City Hall are zone, medium high density. So there's some of them more dense. Someone doesn't have tons and tons of apartment complexes of very, very dense housing. So this area does, though, is zoned for a little bit higher density. So we thought, the combination of the moving of the transit stop, as well as the sidewalk gap closures, ADA ramps at corners, all these improvements taken together would encourage more folks to, come down to City Hall, come down to the downtown, be able to connect with transit, either within the city or, places outside. So we made a request of $270,000 for that. Last Wednesday, Fresno COG invited all those who applied to basically come to their scoring committee and make a presentation. So in our category of this grant program, I think there's 5 applicants. City of Clovis and then City of Fresno had 3 different projects they were pitching, and then ours. And I think we made a good point about wanting to be a player in this, wanting to be a model of how communities such as ours can reap the benefits of transit-oriented development. So as of last Wednesday, we are recommended for the funding amount, which now goes to the full board at the Fresno COG, which I believe, Mayor, you sit on. So hopefully it's on the calendar for you to
Got my vote.
So I think it just felt good. It was a really collaborative project with council, with staff, to identify what were we applying for. It kind of came down to the wire because we wanted something that would be competitive, that would be beneficial, and could basically play up there with the big dogs. And so I think it felt good to have that win. So
I want to thank you for that, definitely, that win. And just by way of history on this, I've been going to COG for Council of Governments for a year and a half now. And the TOD, the Transit Oriented Development Funding, used to only be open to the big cities, to Fresno and to Clovis. And so a number of us smaller cities got together and said, why can't we apply for this funding as well? There's $850,000 a year available of our taxpayer dollars for this. So we narrowly made a vote and were able to apply for funding as of last year. And Selma didn't quite turn in an application last year. It didn't happen for one reason or another, but Fresno, Clovis, and Kingsburg received funding last year, so we knew it could be done. And so this year, working with Townsend Public Affairs, who's our grant writer, doing an excellent job, by the way, thank you, we went and applied for TOD funding and really had a more professional approach. And boy, it came down to the wire. However, $270,000 was awarded to the city, and from what I understand, Reedley received an infill type of grant. So the TOD itself is a little bit more difficult to get because it has to have a transit nexus. Explain to me what the infill component of a grant is.
So the infill category of this program basically provides funding to offset some of the impact fees, things that developers have to pay to get a project built. So that's focused on if you have a developer who's willing to come in, able to come in, but maybe is just short of being able to complete the project due to some of the cost differences.
Yeah.
That part of the program helps to basically fill that gap to make the project happen. And it sounds like maybe next year we'll be in a position where we can apply for that one. I want to say Aurelia was the only applicant this year in that pot.
So that would assist potentially developers in downtown development for communities.
Something where there's a close nexus to transit, so it's not just a development on the edge of town where folks are going to have to get in their vehicle and drive wherever they want to go. It's a development that's near to transit, it's walkable, bikeable, et cetera.
Something near a transit stop, a bus stop, say on Second Street or High Street. Okay. Thank you very much for that update. Does council have any other questions?
And I would just finish by saying there was a good discussion at Fresno COG because all the other projects that came in, there was housing being built as part of their projects, so they were able to look at a project with a really clear density and doing improvements around that. Ours was just existing housing. We had to make the argument that we have enough density here, and that with these improvements we can increase transit ridership, which was a higher bar. And so we had a very robust discussion at Fresno COG with all the scoring committee to make sure they all understood what we were trying to do and how we were different from the others. And I think it was significant. Hopefully there's a discussion at the board level about what that could mean for other communities in the valley here. So
Would you recommend that the scoring get looked at after the awards this year and try to lower that density to give the smaller cities a fighting chance? Or
I actually think some of those requirements were set forth in the measure.
okay.
So I'm not sure how many of those could be changed. And just as a really quick example, if you were City of Fresno, you get a project coming in that was a defined project, it was a density of 40 units per acre, for example, you could easily say you met the threshold of 10 units per acre 4 times over. Ours, we had to rely on what this area was zoned for, which is 8 to 14 units per acre. And so an argument could be made, well, what if a lot of those homes are 8 units, then you don't meet that threshold. So we had to argue that predominantly we were above the 10 units per acre, and it was a harder argument to make. And I'm not sure how much flexibility there is to change that.
Okay, certainly look into that.
So the rest may move pretty quick. Sorry, I had one more at the bottom of that other slide. Sorry, it was tucked in there. Just at the end of March, we submitted a grant to the Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control to look at some illegal alcohol sales enforcements. This one, was submitted 3 weeks ago or so. So hopefully we're here. The ABC is pretty good about moving these along. So I want to thank the chief and his team for the help on that. So that was submitted.
When does that come up?
Not sure when we'll hear.
Okay.
I'm hopeful in the next 2 months. They move pretty quickly. They're smaller grants, so they tend to be able to process them more quickly. So the other ones we still have in the hopper right now, the Proposition 68 Parks funding. We did a concept proposal to do part of the Rockwell Pond project. This was a really quirky program. It's a brand new program out of Proposition 68. It's a one-time program. I think we hear on Friday whether we'll advance to the next stage, which is a site visit from the Natural Resources Agency, and then whether we can submit a full application. Again, it was as Mr. Kirchner can attest, it's a very quirky program, new program. There's no precedent for it, so it's hard to tell what they're going to be looking for. But bottom line, it's assisting us as we move forward with some other opportunities I'll show you here. Similarly, the FEMA, the firefighter grants, we submitted that last October, and with FEMA, they just take forever. It's something about the East Coast, they just take forever. We're looking at probably them starting to make announcements, hopefully end of this month. FEMA does it differently. They announce basically a group of awards every Friday for about 3 months. So you basically got to watch the website every Friday for 3 months to see whether you're awarded. So that one will be coming up. Next slide. Working with the chief again, identified recently a solicitation from U.S. Department of Justice on 3 different programs. The interesting thing about a lot of the law enforcement programs is they can have a really sexy title, but when you get into them, sometimes all they want to see is a curriculum or materials that come out of that grant. And a couple of these, as we've started to dig into those, may not be relevant for activities we may want to take on, such as some of these are you are developing curriculum for innovative strategies at community policing, and the expectation is you will be delivering that to law enforcement agencies around the country as an innovative way to do community policing. So admirable goal, but not necessarily the nuts and bolts of, salaries, benefits, equipment that we often look for. However, the School Violence Prevention Program, it's a robust application, looking for a lot of collaborations, et cetera. So we are looking at that, particularly to see if that's something we could apply for. I think those are due at the end of May. And here I know Mr. Kirchner is going to be upset at me, but the Green Infrastructure Grant Program is also out of Proposition 68. Thinking of making another try with undergrounding our canal and making a multi-use trail out of that. That's a tough one. I think, Mayor, you'd solicited some feedback for Fresno COG. We'd applied for active transportation program for that. And basically the feedback you'd receive from Fresno COG was the same feedback we'd received from Caltrans. And in that project, the significant cost of literally undergrounding that canal before you did anything on top of it was too much. They didn't like how it was out of balance. Too much to underground, not enough funding in there for what was going to go on top.
It sank the bid before it even got in.
So this is one of those where we need to look at innovative partnerships, collaborations, who can help us, irrigation district or others, who can help us put this down, put this underground. So this is a new program also. So it's not a horrendous application. So I'd like to take another run at it for this project to see if we can get some traction on it. It's due, I think, end of June of this year. So I mentioned earlier the one Proposition 68 program where we were looking at Rockwell Pond. The big one in Proposition 68 was the statewide parks program. I think there was about $650 million in Proposition 68 for this program. This is a continuation of a program from Proposition 84. So technically, even though it's new funding, this is technically round 3 of this program because they funded 2 rounds with Proposition 84. So we are starting to work on this. We need to start working on some community engagement. These applications are due in August. We're still have to identify exactly the scope we're going to be looking at. And part of the rationale for waiting until now is that the other grant, we should learn by Friday whether or not we're still in contention for some funding for this. That would change what we apply for in this program. I'm sure that was really confusing. So my next update will be much clearer in terms of our scope for applying for this funding. And there actually may be around 4 and potentially around 5 of this program. There's enough funds in Proposition 68. Another one I put up here, it's not officially out, solicited yet. We're expecting something this summer, is from Proposition 1, which is the water bond from a couple years ago. This is the Stormwater Grant Program. So unlike the programs through the Integrated Regional Water Management Group, which is our IRWM, our regional group, this is a program where cities can apply directly, counties can apply directly, irrigation districts. You apply directly to the state, to the State Water Board for funding. So there's about $90 million left for implementation projects in this pot. Again, looking at applications potentially in summer. and we have a couple stormwater recharge projects that we'd like to consider for that program. And it may come down to identifying which one has the most benefits, would be the most competitive. So that is just upcoming. And I think finally I included a program that we've been talking about for several months. This is Senate Bill 2, which was passed a couple years ago by the legislature, increased the fees on recording documents with the county. And the increase in fees were going to go into grant programs to help with housing. This is the first funding to come out of those grant programs, and it's planning dollars. So they've officially been announced, and the nice thing is we have 8 months to basically apply for these funds. One of the requirements is that you have a housing element that's in compliance with the state, and that's something we're still working on. I think, Mayor, you participated with the governor in February down in Long Beach. You had a meeting to talk about, getting everyone, in compliance, moving in the same direction toward housing. So I know right now we couldn't apply today for that, but again, we have through the end of November. So I think the expectation is we should be in compliance with the state on our housing element well before then, hopefully, and be in a position to access some of these dollars. These dollars can help with any sort of planning efforts that the city may have that would help accelerate housing. So it could be a specific plan, it could be housing plans, a general plan, anything we can make that nexus that it would help with housing development, housing production. And I want to say probably a couple $100,000 or so would be available to the city through this program. In addition to this, the proposed state budget right now includes some additional planning dollars that aren't contingent on a housing element in compliance. So those are ones we could apply even if our housing element wasn't approved. Those are in the budget, which will likely be approved in June. So we would likely see those in the fall of this year. So we'll be watching those to see if that's something we also will apply for. And I think that was the last slide I had. Happy to answer any questions. I know you got a lot of business to do tonight. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Richard, I'd have to say the last 2 visits you've been here, you've brought us good news, so thank you.
Uh-oh.
Keep it up. Thank you. Look forward to your next visit.
Thank you. Thanks much.
Safe trip back.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we'll move on to the consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar are considered routine. The complete consent calendar may be enacted by one motion by roll call vote. For purposes of discussion, any council member may have an item removed from the consent calendar and placed back on the regular agenda. The council will then vote on the remainder of the consent calendar. Would anyone like to take any items of the consent calendar off tonight?
I'd like to take the registry.
Joy, can you come up? Do you want to come up to the front here?
No. She says she can't hear us.
Can you hear us? Okay. Okay. So, are you taking, good question. We'll answer it at the appropriate time. We're on consent right now, but we'll get back to that. Absolutely. Hold on to that thought. We'll have oral communications again, and we'll get you a microphone this time. You're welcome. And anybody have any items other than item G they would like to take off the consent calendar? Okay, with that, is there a motion to approve items 1A through F?
I'll make a motion to approve the rest.
I'll second it.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos?
Aye.
Councilmember Guerra?
Aye.
Councilmember Trujillo?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Franco?
Aye.
Mayor Robertson?
Aye. Okay, item G.
Okay. I just have one, Isaac. Check number 72484. And it says CSJ-VRMA. Can you get clarification on that?
Yeah, that's our quarterly annual RMA payment.
Okay.
The RMA
Resource
is
Management Authority, the insurance group that we have.
What lines of insurance are those for?
That's workers' comp. What's the other one? It's our liability insurance is the city carries.
So lawsuits against the city, property loss,
Correct.
workers' comp claims.
Correct.
Okay, are you done, Councilperson Guerra? I would have one, item 72466, Alves Electric installed spotlights on Welcome to Selma sign. I don't have a question about that. My question is, are we had any kind of communication on the panel on the Welcome to Selma sign at the northern approach to Selma? On the western side of town off of 99. You know, we moved the big Selma sign out to Pioneer Village. Is there a progress report we could get on the panel? Because the same people who did that, right, Shane, put that panel in at the corner there of Whitson and Floral, and they put it in for free, and the only thing they require is PG&E or solar, and I think they even pay for that. But what was, I think, the issue in North? Mm-hmm. Where you're coming from, Fresno.
Right, coming from Fresno.
Okay. So, yeah, maybe we could check with LAFCO, see about an annexation process on that. Are there any issues with the landowners around there or providing services? I mean, it's pretty much farmland. It's
We'll have to
ag land.
look into the matter. This is the first I'm hearing of it. Thank you.
Okay, because I mean, it would be something I think would be provided at no charge to the city. The city would also have advertising on the panel, like 6 seconds for every minute or something, or 12 seconds. And, you know, businesses in town could advertise on it. And since we don't have a Welcome to Selma sign anymore at the northern part, we should have something there. A flat panel would be the next generation. Okay, thanks for looking into that. Okay, with that, I would,
Okay.
would you make a motion to approve? Is there a motion?
I'll motion to approve the registry.
Item G?
Oh, item G.
I'll second that. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Guerra,
Aye.
Mayor Robertson,
Aye.
Councilmember Avalos,
Aye.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Franco.
Aye.
Okay, no public hearing tonight, so we'll go into regular business. Item 2, consideration of a professional services agreement with Rincon Consultants, Inc. for planning services to amend the city's general plan, zoning code, and land use map for state housing and community development department compliance. Report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, audience, and viewers. So we did receive notice from the state that our housing element is out of compliance. The compliance was revoked. As Townsend mentioned, we are in that status because we need to rezone 8.5 acres to high density and the opportunity for 169 high density units. So staff, with council's direction, staff went out and received a couple of proposals from consultants that can help us with this process so that we can come back into compliance with our housing element. We received a proposal from QK Quadnoff, formerly Quadnoff, and from Rincon Consultants. Rincon Consultants provided a complete proposal all the way through the process. Their proposal includes locating and identifying the potential land for rezoning or a potential overlay zone, assessment of that, all the public outreach to property owners, the public and decision makers, preparing the zoning code text amendment and land use map amendment, general plan amendment, staff reports, and CEQA documentation. So this would get us to the point where, as as Townsend Public Affairs mentioned, we are currently in a situation where we aren't able to receive certain funding because of the fact we are out of compliance. The governor, we've talked about this before, the governor called the mayor and mayor of other cities with housing elements that aren't in compliance together to let them know this was one of their top priorities. The complete project proposal their work is on a time and materials basis, so we will only be charged for the work that they are doing on a monthly basis. The estimate is, once we get in there and see what's really going on, but the estimate is an amount not to exceed $67,411 for the entire scope of the project. And part of that is a contingency of it's a little over $11,000. And this was estimated to be about a 37-week project, and that does, this process could take some time. If we get in there and see that it can go quicker, we certainly will do that, because we would love to take advantage of the opportunity to apply for the SB2 funds. But this timeline, that is, the estimated timeline probably would exceed that November window, just by a month. But if we get in there and see some things that line up very quickly and can move along much quicker, that would be the goal. So with that, Rincon Consultants is here. Eric Vonberg is the representative that will work with us on that. If you have any questions, we'd like to move forward and get into compliance, start getting into compliance, so that the city doesn't lose out on any future funding that is essential for what we do.
Thank you for your report. Does council have any questions for Eric? Or any questions in general? Would anyone in the public like to ask any questions or stand up and be heard on this item? Okay, with that, we'll bring it back to council. I would have a question, Eric. It looks like the target date, it looks like the finish date is June 30th of 2020. Is that a pretty firm date?
I'm sorry, I put in there a little extra time just in case. So your timeline, I think, took us to December.
Really, what's going to happen is Eric Vonberg with Rincon Consultants. I'd be the project manager for this project. I'm also the office manager for our office in Fresno. It's really when we get started on the project, looking at the land use data that's out there, we're going to utilize GIS data. If we can identify lands fairly quickly, and especially if there's property owners that are wanting this, then the process can move along very quickly. But with public outreach and stuff, it's sort of this unknown at this point in time how quickly we can move forward with things, and then identifying the lands, and then if there's any controversy on lands that we've identified, if property owners aren't willing or don't want to, or other issues can come up. So I think it's within the first couple months of really getting going on the project, we can really then see how long it's going to take on that. And then we're experts in getting through that CEQA process, so I think we can do that fairly quickly and try to get as much done during the process so that we're ready to go as soon as we identify those lands, and then get through that CEQA process rather quickly.
Good. I know I've heard from a landowner who'd be willing to have that land rezoned.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's, in the sphere, it's not in city limits, so there'd have to be an annexation. But according to LAFCO, they will do an expedited annexation process if we need that. So it sounds like we have all hands on deck. Everybody wants to get this done. And this actually goes back to the housing element, not the current one. The current one's actually in compliance. The city went out and went with a bunch of other cities in a JPA type of thing and got that done. But it goes back to the one before in 07, I believe, where where the regional housing needs assessment numbers were off, and it just wasn't taken care of. So now's the time, especially with the threat of litigation from the state. That's that's something that the governor has held out. I think the first phase is just not allowing cities to have access to the SB2 planning funds that we just talked about and Townsend talked about. But that legal action is always on the table too, if it goes that far, as Huntington Beach can attest to.
Yeah, and we're in the process of updating the zoning regulations for the city of San Joaquin as well, just for this kind of process as well, to make sure they're in conformity.
Eric, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions?
I'm good.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion to accept.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Avalos,
Aye.
Councilmember Guerra,
Aye.
Councilmember Trujillo,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Franco,
Aye.
Mayor Robertson.
Aye. Okay, with that, we'll move on to item 3, consideration of the award of construction contract to Catch Environmental Inc. for the police station project in the amount of $8,322,577. Report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members, council, audience, and viewers. Again, we have the opportunity this evening, if it is the will of the council, to move forward on the construction of police station. We have a contractor that is able and willing to do the work. We have a project construction management team that is also able, willing, and ready to do the work. And we have the funding that we have identified in order to make that happen. We have a staff presentation to give you background on our recommendation. I'd like to start with Isaac Moreno to talk about the funding sources. And then from there, we'll go to talk to our project manager from Branner Construction, Roy, about the process, and Chief Gardner about the future of the station. Thank you.
And then we'll have public comment.
Mayor, council members, what we'd like to go through at this moment is the funding sources that we're identifying for this project. These are not new items. We have discussed this in the past, but I want to kind of go through them a little bit and identify them and explain them for the public and for you.
This is on the city website. This will be on the city website, your
It
presentation?
can be posted. It's part of our presentation.
Can you
so-
post it?
Okay. So the first item, as you see, is the state appropriation, which makes up about 33% of the total cost of the project that we'll be identifying. The next item will be the Measure P, which is a general obligation bond that was passed with 3,640 votes to make it a 66.7% obligation bond that we were able to issue for $4 million. The next item was the ambulance fund, which is going to make up about 27% of the project, 2.8 is what we'll be asking to encumber today. And also some Measure S funds, which we're only asking for $215,582, which would make up about 2% of the project itself. So we've talked about the appropriation and the GO bond. So let's talk about the other funding sources just for a moment. So Measure S in its entirety is a general obligation. I'm sorry. It is an ordinance. In the ordinance, you can identify. You could actually go to our city website and see this. So there's one point that I would like to talk about, and that's the Measure S in itself was actually generated to do things like this project. These purposes including obtaining furnishings, operations, maintenance, police, protection equipment, and paying salaries and things of that nature. What this section actually does go into also is it talks about an expenditure plan. So if you go to the original adoption of the expenditure plan, it does talk about in the first year and the second year of actually initiating a police station and also a fire station as well. The next funding source that we discussed is the ambulance fund. So again, the ambulance fund, we're requesting $2.8 million from the reserves of that fund. The ambulance fund itself is an enterprise fund, so it is an account that is operated for issuing ambulance service throughout the city. So within the fiscal policy, we're able to do by that circled item there. Additionally, where possible, the enterprise fund could make an additional contribution to the general fund to be determined by staff and council. So what that's basically stating is that the item in itself and the funding source could be utilized for this project. Is there any questions on those two funds? Is there any questions on any additional funding sources?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Mayor, council members, my name is Roy Magdaleno. I'm with Banner Construction Management. I'm the construction manager for the hopefully future police station. January 22nd, the bid went out. We rebid the project with, instead of three alternates, we did 8 alternates so that we can kind of help the city with the funding issues. It went out to bid. It came back. Hello? Can you hear me now? Okay. So it went out to bid. It came back, and the estimated cost came back as between 8.1 and 8.7 with all of the alternates. The bids were open in March 14th, 2019, and the lowest responsible bidder was Catch Environmental. Their base bid came in at 7.9 million. We did a lot of surveys for Catch Environmental. We did their bonding capacity. We verified their previous projects that they've had. Everything came back, the way we would expect it. And the team that they do have under their listed subs, I checked on all of their subs, roughly about 16, 18 subs. I've worked with half of them on previous projects. I've been doing this for about 20 years. Most projects I've been able to complete successfully. 100% of them under bid, under the 5% contingency. Some of them, most of them on time, with the exception of a few, just minor issues, owner requests. Sometimes it would get pushed out. So that's it. Any questions for me?
Do you have anyone from the contractor, Catch Environmental, here tonight? Okay. Can I just ask you a couple questions?
Yes, sir.
What's your name, sir?
I'm Paul Ketchadorian, owner of the company.
Paul, thanks for coming out tonight.
You're welcome. Thanks for
Can I
having
ask
me.
you, how many police stations have you built, has your company built?
Catch Environmental has not built a police station, but some people on my team, project management and superintendents, have been involved in it.
Okay. And has your company, just because the name is Catch Environmental, it's not like Catch Building Contractors, it just makes me wonder, are you mainly an environmental contractor?
No, that's one of our company has A and B license, contracting license, so we utilize both. The B license obviously for building, and the A license we use for earth moving and demolition. So we have a wide range of scopes of work that we do. The environmental is there for advertising, so people know that we also do environmental type work.
Have you built commercial structures in the past?
Well,
Ground
again,
up.
my team is very well versed in building schools and a lot of public works buildings. So yes.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? Mr.
Paul?
Cacciamoria?
You mentioned you have your own project manager?
Yes, I have project managers in the company
In the
and
company?
superintendents.
Do you actually do your own construction, Catch Environmental, or is it mostly subcontracted out?
Well, for this particular job, we have as was stated, we have a wide range of subs, and we'll be doing limited work, mostly management. It's a very important job. We want to make sure that we have a lot of hands on it as far as our management team.
So you'll be mainly a project manager on this job, if I'm hearing you correctly.
We'll be construction. We'll be building the building. Yes, sir.
What percentage of your operations will involve actually building the building with a hammer and nails?
Oh, we probably have about 10 to 15% sole sourcing.
Okay.
I just have one more question. Can you tell me when's been your last project that you've built from ground zero? Or just comparable to a police station?
Well, again, it's the team I have in place that works for me. They're the ones that have been building a lot of projects. I have one of my superintendents with me, Ken Weiss. Has many, 20, 25 years experience in superintendent. Anthony Encinas was the estimator, and he probably has about the same experience. So we have this job covered.
Okay, yeah, because I was looking on the website, and I was seeing under the description, our services include asbestos abatement, lead inspection and abatement, mold inspection and remediation, UST removal, roll-offs, demolition, excavation, and trenching, RRP certification courses, restoration and preservation, water damage restoration, insurance claims, and then at the bottom, residential, commercial, and military. So that it just from your advertising, forgive me, just from my eyes, it doesn't look like, you know, building municipal structures is your focus, is your main area of operations.
Well, our website probably needs to be more reflective of that, but it is.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
No,
Okay.
I'm fine. No, I'm good.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I was asked to speak on the future of the station. As I mentioned earlier when we did our swearing in today, planning for the future is an essential in our profession. And that's the mindset we had when we put these plans together. As you can see in these bullet points, it gives you a 30,000-foot view of the way the station was designed. We plan the station to be able to expand in the future. Certainly given the history of municipal buildings built here in Selma in the past several decades, it's our experience that we're going to be living in this station for the next 50 or 60 years, so we wanted to make sure it was able to perform in that kind of a manner. We're going to have an expanded detective investigation workspace as we anticipate expanding our workforce, a locker room to accommodate almost double the size of our current police department, a sally port area. A little explanation, that's where our officers bring in suspects that are in custody. That area is going to be protected from the elements, so our police officers aren't struggling with suspects in the elements, rain, things like that. We'll have an expanded property evidence room, almost double the size of the one we have now, which is overcrowded, and if you've seen it, you know. Our community training room will also operate as our emergency operations center in case of an area-wide emergency. It will also provide us an opportunity to bring training of our police officers here to Selma, much as the fire department does now in their training room. Right now, we currently have to send our officers for training outside of the city of Selma for that training. We'll have an expanded communications center, doubling the size of our current capacity, and will allow us to entertain the idea of doing regional dispatching for some of our sister cities to the north and to the south. And we'll expand our public counter space for people that come to our department seeking services in our records bureau as well. That's, as I said, that's just a quick overview. There are many, many more features that will be included in the new department.
Please. Go ahead. No, go ahead if you have one.
Chief Gardner, I have a couple of questions. I was sworn in December 11th this year. I requested a meeting with you, and you gave me a tour around the police department. These last 3 months have been pretty heated for you in regards to our police department. I participated. I walked your department. What percentage of the building has asbestos and that cannot be used in your department?
To my knowledge, the floors, the walls, and the ceiling all have asbestos.
Has that ever been told to the community?
I don't know.
Okay. Have you ever offered it to the news agencies that's been reporting these last 2 months?
I don't believe that question was asked of me, no.
Okay. Has anybody in the city council in the last 8 years talked to you in regards to policy making that would adhere to help you benefit the structure of this police department?
I've had several conversations with elected officials over the last five and a half years that I've been here. Those topics vary from, we've had several conversations about the need for a new police station. Most recently, we had to abandon a portion of the station because of a mold infestation, had to move some of our detectives to off-site facilities because of that. So we've had several conversations.
Today you just swore in 4 officers and 1 reserve. You have your sergeants with the fire department. where will you be placing those other officers?
You mean where they're gonna be working?
Yeah, where will they be reporting to? Will they still
Well,
be going?
they'll be reporting to our current police station. They'll be doing most of their training out in the field. So, we're nearing capacity for our locker room. I'd love to be beyond capacity, and that's hopefully gonna happen here soon. But that's the same locker room we had when we moved in that several decades ago, and we're rapidly running out of space.
Okay, thank you.
Chief, this room, this big room that keeps making it back into this bid, multi-purpose room, again, what's that gonna be used for?
Multiple purposes, as the name implies. The most essential will be our emergency operations center. The city currently doesn't have one. If we had a multiple jurisdiction regional emergency and we had to open up an operational center, we'd either have to use this building, which isn't mechanically or electronically equipped for it, or perhaps the fire department. Neither one of them are equipped for an emergency operations center. Also, as equally as important, we'll be able to use it as a training facility for our own officers. Right now, as I mentioned earlier, we have to send all of our officers away to training. We can host training here and use it as a funding resource. The fire department is doing that currently, using that as an income resource through their training facilities. And we'll also be able to use it as a community meeting room, which is something that if you look around the general area of our city and Clovis and some of the other places that have recently built police stations in the last 10 years, all of them have a community meeting area like the one that we're proposing in this building.
So community meeting room, that's where you would have groups like Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, civic organizations, youth.
Anyone
youth
who'd
would
like
come.
to use it.
The police station, the same place where you would bring criminals in, is that right?
The
Or you would arrest.
Criminals would come into the other side of the building.
Right, it would be the same building though, correct? Same location?
Separated by about 3,000 square feet.
In terms of the asbestos and the infestation, or we were told 2016, I remember sitting as a council member and told that we had to do something right away by someone who's a council member now, that we had to get something done right away, because I think a train was potentially could have hit the building, and then because of mold and asbestos. So these have been issues, and I don't think anybody has any problem with a new police station. We all want a new police station. We want the new police station. We've come down to this tonight of how much did the citizens budget for the police station? What did they give us for the police station? And it looks like we're robbing Peter to pay Paul by looking at this bid, which we can't afford as a city except by going and drawing from other accounts, such as the account Measure S, which pays for conceivably the new fire station.
Mr. Mayor, are you grandstanding or are you asking him a question?
Excuse me?
That's what you've said before.
What?
Are you implementing a question or are you asking him? Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay,
I'm
bring it
stating
back
my
up.
views as
No,
a
you're
councilman
grandstanding.
elected by the people.
You know, listening to this,
Not yet.
We're not
proposal.
We're not
We're not
quite
there.
at public
I have-
comment yet, Dan.
Oh,
We're-
okay,
we're
sorry.
gonna get there.
Go ahead. Okay.
Yeah, I have a chief for the.
I'm
Chief,
sorry, I didn't know there were any other questions.
I'd like to ask, what are they gonna do with the old police station?
Well, we're gonna use it for storage. Until we can complete the construction, we're gonna have to continue to operate in it until it's there. Because of the fact that there is asbestos throughout the building, we can't remodel it in any way. And upgrades would be cost prohibitive, so we're gonna use it for storage.
Okay.
That's the current plan.
Any possible way of salvaging part of the police station and using part of it as a training center?
There's not a room in the police station currently large enough. Our briefing room holds 12 people at best. Most police trainings hold 40 to 50 people. One of the portions of the station, the current station that will stay in operation when we move is our dispatch center. We're required to have a backup dispatch center in case our primary dispatch center goes out, our 911 call center. Currently, our backup system is in the closet right behind you here at City Hall, which isn't really functional. Since we upgraded that current dispatch center 3.5 years ago, it'd still be serviceable. So we're going to keep that as our backup communication center when we open the new station.
Okay, thank you, Chief.
I don't have any more questions. Does anyone else?
Thank you, Chief, for the information. Thank you.
I do have a question for the city manager. How much is this, where's the line item for Vanier Construction, the project manager? How much does that cost for those services projected?
Yeah, it is in the overall budget cost, and I would refer to our assistant city manager to pull that number forward.
If you look at your staff report itself, it's not line item'd out. It's actually consolidated in the cost itself. I believe it's in item other project cost estimates, the 719,000. There's a portion of it. The contract, I don't remember the number off the top of my head, is about $400,000, if I remember correctly. But we have been paying some of those costs now.
So would we be paying for 2 project managers then? Because we just heard from Catch Environmental that they would essentially be a project manager on this. Can you explain why we would need Vanier Construction on this?
Well, Mr. Mayor, if I might, Vanner Construction is the overall project manager, and they have really helped us through this process from once we brought them on at council's direction, and have continued to drive this project forward in an organized fashion. So their oversight overall in making sure that we have, and I'll ask Roy to speak to this a little bit more about the services that you provide and how they differ from the other project managers that Catch was referring to, because they are very distinct and different functions that are essential to the whole team and process to make sure that we have if we do move forward, that we are timely, we are working on being as timely as possible and as budget conscientious as possible. So
because, ladies and gentlemen, if grandstanding is looking out for the public, then yeah, I'll say I'm grandstanding, because that's why we're up here, to work for you. So please, Roy, please proceed. Thank you.
So your question is, what do I do? What does Vanner do?
How does it differ from what Catch Environmental is doing as a project manager?
Sure. Well, I represent the owner. I represent Selma. I represent them. I make sure that your funds are allocated correctly, so that Catch Environmental and other contractors don't submit changes, and people that don't understand construction will probably not be able to review everything the way I review it. I've been doing this for 20 years. You'd be surprised how many times they just slip through and the owner doesn't catch that kind of stuff. So I'm here to represent you, make sure that they do it on time, on budget, on schedule, and keep your budget where you want it to be. So I don't represent the contractor, I represent the owner.
Wouldn't that be in the best interest of the city to save money and have one project manager? Conceivably, all project managers should have the best interest of the city at heart.
Absolutely, you can say that. But that doesn't happen, unfortunately. That's why I have a job. That's why I'm here. If there was no need for me, I wouldn't be here. For Vanner Construction Management, for management companies like myself. So I unfortunately, if there was no need for me, they'd be running all over you. That's really what would happen.
Excuse me.
I'm here to keep them fair to you.
I have a question.
I'm not saying they're unfair. I'm not saying all contractors are unfair. What I'm saying is that I'm here to make sure that everything is fair across the board.
So you have an adversarial relationship?
I do not. I love working with contractors.
Okay.
But I'm here to make sure it's fair.
But you're there to make sure that the job is done on time.
On time, on budget, on schedule, and within the contingency that the city or the owner sets.
I'm not an expert, but isn't that why you have a bond though? And liquidated damage clauses? You have a
No.
bond to make sure that the project is done on time and on budget, and if not, then the city could collect if it's not done on time and if it is over budget? Isn't that why you have a surety? Isn't that why the city, the way you went through that process of confirming that that Catch had a surety?
Yes.
Isn't that their job? To step in if the job goes off budget? I'm sorry, Mr. Trillo had a question.
I just had a question. Did you do an analysis? What is our expected time to build if it is approved? What are we looking in time frame? Have you done analysis with the city and then piggyback with them and see what no, not yet?
No.
Okay.
I mean, there's
Okay. No, it's just a question.
Yeah,
There's
we can let
in
him.
the
Let's just be civil. Yeah, let's just let
the
everybody
contract
speak.
has a time frame on it.
Okay.
So it's there. I mean, that's what he bid. That's what we all agreed on, what their time frame is. So I haven't reviewed it with him or the city. It's already in the contract itself. So I'm not sure what the question specifically is. Yeah, it's in the contract.
Let me clarify something. I was asking if you had talked to the city and you guys have talked about a time frame in regards to how long this project is going to take. I wasn't accusing anyone of being wrong, and I understand that if this is approved, you will have a meeting and you guys will talk about what the project is going to, the analysis, and you guys will be able to give us that feedback. I apologize if some of the people don't understand what I meant.
Yeah, I think we're here as a public meeting to have public input and also to be respectful to all of our speakers. But we do need these questions answered. It's very important. This is a big project, the biggest that Selma has ever had from a public works standpoint. And so we do need to go through our due diligence, and that means asking questions even if it's uncomfortable. We need to do it because that's our job for the citizens of Selma. They gave us a budget to live within, and we should live within that budget. City Manager, did you have a comment about the surety?
I was just going to add if there were some different reasons why we have, if awarded, then there is a performance bond and there is also a materials bond. And ask the city attorney.
There's a bid bond, a payment bond, and a
We
materials
have
bond.
the bid bond was submitted, but if you wanted more detail to ask.
And on the bid bond, how does that work? So how does a bid bond work? Attorney Casso.
Well, the bid, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the bid bond that Catch submitted to the city guarantees the bid that is currently before you for the $8.322 million. It guarantees that they will that bid is good for the finite period of time. If I recall correctly, the bid was submitted March 14, and it's good for 60 days to May 14, plus or minus May 15.
How many bidders were there on this job? How many bidders?
I
how
would
many
defer
bids
to
did we
staff
get?
on that.
We received the one bid from Catch Environmental.
So we got one bid on the job. Okay. So with that, I would.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, with regard to the bonds, and you had asked about the various bonds, the bonds are essentially a layer of protection for the city, a layer of protection that the contractor, the general contractor, will pay their subs in a timely fashion. They will acquire releases from their subs, and if they fail to pay, then we can call the bond. It's similar to one of us may own a car, and we may have paid off that car, but we still insure that car against damage. The performance bond is a bond that protects the city to ensure that the general contractor and their subs perform the work that they have contracted to perform. And if they fail to perform in a workmanlike fashion, then you can, what's called in the industry, you would call the bond, and then the bonding company comes in, and they stand in the shoes of the general contractor, and they complete the job, guaranteeing, again, the price of the job at $8.322 million. if you have change orders within a job, and there's a 5% contingency here, there's always a 5% contingency in every public works job, whether it's a freeway that Caltrans is building or it's a police station that Selma may build. You're going to put these contingencies in there, and that protects you. And for there may be change orders, there may be something that has to be revised, and so you go through the architect and you go through your project manager, and then eventually it gets to the general contractor, and then it gets to the subs, and it gets constructed with that change, that difference in design. So bonds themselves are protection. It's raining outside, you're going to put up an umbrella.
Does the city have an engineering team?
We have engineering consultants, Gateway Engineering.
Who could conceivably review the job that's going on with the police station?
Actually, it was discussed with them and is not in the scope of the work, and they did not have the ability to take this specifically on. Any additional? Okay, thank you.
So we talked about the quality, the pricing of the job. If it comes in over bid, the bond would come in, and if it takes more than the amount of time specified, there is something in the contract, is that right, damages, liquidated damages, that the contractor would pay if it doesn't meet, if they don't complete it in a reasonable amount of time? Does the bond also secure that?
There's typically a liquidated damages provision which covers the period of time that it is estimated the job will take. By way of example, it may say it's going to take 120 days. Absent some issue with weather, rain, other kinds of issues that may delay it. There is often times where there is a delay because there happens to be a change order, and the parties agree that they will add an additional 10 days. But let's say we get to that point, we don't have those issues, we get to the 120th day and the project is not complete, then there is a liquidated damages provision that follows from the 121st day to, let's say, the 150th day when they do finally complete it. So you've got 30 days worth of liquidated damages that you can arguably apply to the final payment to the contractor, and it can be a deduct.
So isn't it in the
Again,
best
another
interest,
layer of protection.
pardon me, isn't it in the interest of the contractor, the general contractor who guarantees this bid? They're the ones that sign the bid. Catch Environmental signed this bid, so they'd be responsible. For instance, wouldn't it be in their interest to make sure that the job gets done on time, free of liens?
Of course, and that's why.
Aren't they incentivized to get it done as soon as possible with the highest amount of quality possible? And is the project
Absolutely, but there are often times where you may have
forgive me, but did we select this contractor? I mean, because they really know what they're doing. They're qualified. So I would think that would be implicit that they would do a good job and would get the job done on time, free of liens. I'm just questioning the thought process for the project manager in the first place to add this kind of cost, since we're here tonight to vote. You know, we're here tonight to decide on things. So
Mr. Mayor,
this is public money that we're talking about.
If I might add, respond to that question. Internally, the staff that would need to oversee it, if we did not have the project management construction team, we do not have the in-house staff like the engineering firm you talked about. If we had it, but we don't have an engineering firm that can oversee this right now. They have plenty of other work that we have them working on other areas. So going and contracting with Vanner, which was discussed with the council, is allowing us that opportunity to have that point of contact that advocates for us and works with the consultant, with the general contractor and their subs to
I'm just
oversee
asking
it.
this because things keep changing. I mean, when we first talked about the community room, it was just a community room, and tonight it's a, it's a nerve center for the county. So it's expanded in its role and it's changed, and I just wanted to question the expanding role of the project manager as well. If council doesn't have any more comments, would the public like to give their input at this point?
Good evening. Yolanda Torres, 2266 Mitchell Avenue. Well, as we all heard, there's so many questions and not enough answers. Ms. Guerra, you never got your question answered. Look, I'm going to throw more at you because, I mean, if we're on a roll of questions here, I have more for you. So, can the proposed new police headquarters be built for less money than the newly projected cost in excess of $10 million? It appears that cash bid includes alternate extras, community room, and covered sally port, which adds hundreds of thousands of dollars to the cost. Question 2, has the City of Selma explored all potential sources for funds to pay the cost that exceeds the original amounted budget? For example, has the city considered another bond issue to raise the additional funds? Question 3, what are the consequences of taking money from the ambulance service fund? How will it affect ambulance services to our Selma residents? Number 4, publicly available material states that Measure S funds will require financing. How will the financing work and what will it cost? How will the funds be repaid? Does the financing require a vote from us citizens? Question 5, as it appears in the Measure P bond, have not sold, has the money from the sale of the bonds been vested or placed in an interest-bearing account? If the funds are earned interest, has this money been factored into the budget for the building? Number 6, does the city plan to sell the current police building and allocate the sale proceeds to the building of the new headquarters? We understand that the use of Measure S funds and the ambulance fund is a contingency plan if no additional state grants are received, and that the city will find out in June or July whether state grants will be given. It might benefit the city and its citizens to first determine whether grants are available before making a final decision on the use of other funds, particularly in light of a short 2-month delay, which will not prejudice the project. There are too many unanswered questions. I'm sorry, this is getting worse and worse. I don't understand that. We're using subcontractors. Are they qualified? What have they done? Have we seen their certifications? Have we seen what they built for that we're going to get? I mean, Mr. Trujillo said at the last meeting, he sees problems with this police project, but he's still willing to vote yes. I don't understand what it's going to take. We all agree we need a police department. We need an $8 million police department. We are sourcing outside ambulance services, but yet we have $4 million sitting in the project fund. Why are we doing that? There's $4 million that our citizens could be using for ambulance services. Why are you taking from Measure S? That's public safety. We're not arguing with you about anything other than do this within your budget. Start over, scale down, do whatever you need to do. We haven't started anything. This whole project is about as flat as that table there. We can start from the beginning and we need to do it right. And we have so many questions that need to be answered. We need to get them answered before you make the decision. This is our taxpayers' money. We put you up there for a reason. Make the right choice.
Is there any other public input at this time?
Good evening, Leslie Nelson, 2413 Country Club Lane. You know, I apologize if this has been answered before, but how many bidders were there actually on the project?
One, right?
One. I find that we were in construction for many, many years, and I find that very odd that a building of this size and this, for Public Works, I find it odd that only one company would bid for that job, and I'm wondering what the reason is for that, why we didn't get any other bidders. And to allow just one bid to go through, I don't understand that. So can you tell me what the reasons were why we didn't get any other bidders on the project?
We had a response from the project manager after the last bid that there was a single bid on that. It was probably because of the project labor agreement in force.
Which is
So it's known as a PLA. It's a project labor agreement. It requires that all the services, everything be union on the job. So it restricted the field of bidders. And this is again according to
So
the
it
project
restricted the field of
manager.
bidders, but I would think that that field would be bigger than just one company. I just find that very odd, very strange for a project that size that there'd be only one bidder. So that was my concern.
Yeah, the Building and Trades Council representative did come out and did ask for that second opportunity to bid it, and said that we would get more contractors this time on the bid. This was open session, and it didn't happen that way. It was one bid again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any more public input?
Hi, I'm Don Nelson. Hey, so we're out of this PLA deal. We can't get out of that? Is that what we're saying?
City Manager, would you like to address the PLA issue?
On your time, not mine.
Yes, excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So indeed, there is not an exit clause in that agreement for the city.
There's no exit clause in there for the city. Is that what you said? Perfect. Okay, so I voted for the police department, and I voted for $4 million of our money and matched with $4 million of the state's money. And I entrust you to build it for that. I'm one that I feel like we need a new police department, but we don't need a $10 million one. We need an $8 million one. Figure it out, and figure out a Sally port be in the package, not an add-on. You got to have a Sally port. And this gentleman here, who might be an awesome man, he doesn't answer questions. He has never built a building in his life.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Gabriel Garcia. I'm a resident of Selma, 2345 Orange Avenue. I lived here for about 15 years. My grandfather and parents are from this area. I'm also a member of the local 104 sheet metal workers. And in my career, I've built plenty of facilities, prisons, Calaveras Sheriff's Department, and jail, Clovis Police Department. So what comes with the PLA, it comes with the skilled labor. General contractors nowadays are mostly on the paper side. And even some of the largest general contractors out there that are building these big, huge public works, they don't actually swing a hammer. They swing a pencil. So, and there's a lot of work to be done with the paperwork. So what they would leverage is the labor, the skilled crafts, the skilled trades, the trained trades like myself, and plumbers, iron workers, and so on. So we have the ability to build whatever needs to be built. I'm excited for this police station. It's long overdue. I'm blown away that they're doing anything in the current facility they're in right now. Seeing all these other facilities, it's kind of shameful to see that we are using this building to this day. So when it comes to building this new station, it's going to require some skilled labor. It's going to require trained labor, because like they said, they might be there for the next 60 years. And eventually we're going to outgrow that one. So we need to make it last. We need to make it quality. And we just need to make the right decisions. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Mark Medina, 3761 Wright Street. I am a business owner and I'm also a neighbor. Everyone. First, I'd like to say I'm glad to see as many people here, showing that they're actually interested in something other than TV. But more importantly, we're talking about building a police station. We all agree we need more police, we need more station. The building's old, really old, like way before my mom was born old. And I agree that we need more cops. I also believe that we actually voted on this and decided to have a budget that seems to be getting exceeded in this particular bid, a bid by one company. A bid by one company where, when asked directly, I'm sorry, sir, but you didn't give a direct answer. And as a photographer and as a business person, I know when someone asks me something, I should know what I'm doing, even if I have people underneath me who do the work. Because if I don't know what I'm doing, there's no way I could ever ask somebody else to do it. And there's no way I can trust that it gets done. Now, we have another contractor here who says his job is to maintain and oversee this guy. And during the course that he's talking, I heard something interesting. And the gentleman in the back pointed out that he pretty much called this guy out, saying that if this guy does anything shady, which he may or may not do, that his job is to go ahead and stand up for the city and for everybody and say, you're doing wrong. And not once did he look at the guy and say, wait a second, you're going against my company. You're telling me that I'm not ethical. If that was my company, he did that to me, I'd follow right after he got down and point out the ethics of my own company. He didn't do that. Neither one did. Neither one even got mad. Which leads me a question, why? See, it's not about money as much as it is relationships. We want a building built that's going to last. We want something that's done right that's going to serve everybody. We want to be able to have enough police force that our community can feel safe any time of the day, where our police department's not stretched out too thin. But we don't want to go over budget on a real nice looking building that no one can be in because there's not enough staff. We want it to sit under budget. We don't want to take away from ambulances, because when someone gets sick, we want them to get to the doctor as fast as they can. I know, I got to ride in one. I had a heart attack. That was fun. But the main thing is this. We're about to do a vote on a one bid. I hate when that happens. We're about to do a vote on a one bid. Better hurry. Okay. We're supposed to do a vote on a company that just did one bid. We only have one bidder. We need to do more. This we shouldn't vote for. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name's Frank Hernandez, 3202 Goldridge Street. I apologize for my appearance. I'm a little dirty and greasy. I am not an educated man. I don't have any fancy titles after my name or, cute initials before it or after. I'm just a hard-working tow truck man putting frijoles and tortillas on the table for my family. I've learned what common sense is. 2 and 2 is 4. Left and right, up and down. I've been coming to these meetings a few years now. And I see a lot of familiar faces, people that are concerned. And I see a lot of faces that only pop up when are asked to. That want to come up and blow a trumpet for somebody. And a lot of faces that are only here because there's dollar signs present. We asked this one gentleman over here, how many bids did we get? Or why did we go with catch? His reply was, and we can rewind the tape, we went with the lowest bid, implying that there was more than one. This gentleman over here, in my line of work, I've seen a lot of shady mechanics, a lot of shady salesmen, run around, talk, double talk, trust me, famous last words. I've been up here before, I've cussed and hollered and screamed, and you guys just need to do the right thing. Common sense. There's a lot of grunting and when other people were up here talking. And it's $8 million, $10 million, $13 million, whatever. It's a lot of money, And for people to sit up there that we voted on to just, if there's no way out of it, let's build it. You implied of Mr. Robertson grandstanding. That is the only gentleman that ever interjects any questioning from anybody. from anybody. Anybody. 2 weeks ago, a month ago, I'm sorry, I'm a little tired. I've been up all day. Mr. Avalos stopped this, what we're going through right now. He asked one question. What are the ramifications for sending back the PLA letter or rescinding it? Has that been answered?
Attorney?
Can't be done.
The attorney.
Can't be done.
Attorney Casso.
It's signed in blood, right?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council are well aware, this matter has been discussed with the council in closed session. You've been advised on your options.
I would
Thank
just
you.
like to know, is the city of Selma going to fight, or is it going to bend over and just take it? Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Teresa Herrera, 3526 Hill Street. So my concern is about safety and health care. I learned something today that was kind of a little bit alarming. And I heard that you're going to take $2.8 million from the ambulance side of things, yet we have so many calls in Selma that we use Kingsburg Fire, we use Sanger Fire, we use Sequoia Safety. If we need more ambulances, why are we going to give $2 million to another department when the citizens of Selma may need to call for an ambulance? We should have a local ambulance. If we need more ambulances, we should do that. Why are we using Kingsburg Fire? Why are we using Sequoia Safety? And why are we using Sanger? Do the citizens of Selma know that we don't have enough ambulances? If you call and you need an ambulance, you're going to have to probably wait. Do you know that?
Thank you.
Hi, Rosemary Allen East, 2565 Almond Street. I'm just a little confused. Well, the city council are the gatekeepers. You guys are responsible for ensuring that the city's taken care of. We've had 2 city managers before, and they are the reason why we can't get out of this contract. And you guys really need to make a decision now. I voted no. I voted no because I felt safety was more important than a new fire station at the time. But you guys are responsible for making sure that all these department heads do their job and making sure that the citizens of Selma are taken care of. And we all know that the previous city managers didn't do due diligence. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in this place right now. So you guys need to make a decision because it's what, in May? And then the bid ends in May, right? So if you guys wait a couple of more months, like somebody else said, then the price is gonna go up again. So you guys need to make a decision, and you guys need to take care of the city of Selma. Everybody put you guys in the place where you're at right now, and you guys are responsible for taking care of us. That's all I have to say.
My name is Teresa Salas, 3221 Lee Street in Selma. Council members, some of you and some of the previous council agreed to this labor agreement. Whoever presented it to you, you agreed to it. And that's what's before us now, this labor agreement, and now it's gone out to bid a second time. Now you want to break a contract that you agreed with because you don't like the cost. It went out to bid once and you didn't like the cost and you drug your feet, and now we're here a second time and it's costing more because time is money, as they say. You don't seem to care if we get sued if you throw it out the window or start from scratch the way a couple of you have said. And we are going to get sued if you throw it out the window because we signed an agreement. The unions have that agreement. So where are we going to get the money to defend the city of Selma or pay for any for judgment money against the city? It's not going to come from the building fund, and it's not going to come from the ambulance fund. It's going to come from the general fund. You know what else comes from the general fund? Salaries. So if we don't have any extra money, we're not going to get the police officers that you're all wanting, because we're not going to have the money for that either. We're going to be busy covering ourselves. And the worst part of it is that we're losing our reputation as the city of Selma. You guys are not sticking to an agreement that you made. You're making us look bad. Who's going to want to trust the city of Selma on any kind of agreement after this? Nobody. You guys want developers. You guys have a Rockwell Pond project. You have developers that you want to build new housing developments. Do you think any of them are going to want to make an agreement with the city of Selma knowing that you're not going to keep your word? Some of you say wait 2 or 3 months. We can do that. Again, the bid will get thrown out the window and we'll have to go through the whole bidding process again. It's not going to change anything. You have to use the labor unions that you agreed to. It's not going to change anything other than the price tag. We have the money to start now. You say 2 or 3 months you might get some more grant money. Great. Go at it. Find that money. You have plenty of time. We can get this thing started now and get it off the ground at least. More delays are just going to cost more money. I say we need to award this bid tonight so we can move on to other pressing business for the city. I was very respectful to all of you when you had something to say, and
Okay, okay.
Mr. Mayor, would you please ask the speaker to address through the chair, not the audience? Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead, please continue.
I would like for us to get this done today. We have lots of other pressing business for the city. We don't have a community development department. We need that. This is why we have this company running the show, because we don't have a community development department. We don't have an engineer department to do these things. That's why we have a project engineer, a project manager. You guys were elected to represent not just the loudest people, not just the people that agree with you. You were elected to represent all of us, and I'd really like for you to do that.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello, my name's Brian Hall. I live at 2204 Gaither, and I'm in favor for you guys passing this because it's bringing work for me, where I just signed with the local sheet metal of 104, and this project's gonna put me to work, and you guys should vote for it and pass it tonight so I could start working for my family.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. My name is Kimberly Mayhew, and I'm an attorney with Lang, Rickard & Patch in Fresno. I believe all the council members received a copy of my letter, which I wrote on behalf of the citizens group Selma Strong. It is a group of concerned citizens who asked me to raise their points, and I believe you all had the ability to see my letter. I just wanted to clarify that the citizens group Selma Strong is not opposed to a new police building. I don't think there's any dispute of anybody that spoke here today that a new building is needed. The question is how to go about that responsibly, practically, economically, and in the most efficient manner. One of the issues that I raised in my letter, which I don't think was addressed tonight, was how the use of the Measure S funds will impact the ability to hire additional officers. When I spoke to the city attorney last week, I was told that the Measure S funds could be used for construction only. I believe that that is not true. As a matter of fact, during the presentation that we saw earlier, it showed that it could be used for both construction and for new officers. As a matter of fact, the 2009 resolution, the program guidelines make clear that over the 10-year plan, there was planned to be an addition of 1 to 3 new officers every year. That one of the issues I think citizens are very concerned with is the ability to add those additional officers that are necessary to protect the residents of the city of Selma. The January 22nd staff report actually noted that a new facility would accommodate increased staff levels. So clearly it's contemplated that additional officers are needed. If there was no money for new staff left over, then a larger facility would be self-defeating. And I understand that there are currently officers working overtime because the police department is understaffed. We've also asked the question of if Measure S funds must be financed, how that financing works. Again, I don't know if the staff has looked at that. There's no publicly available information that answers that question, and whether that would require a vote from the citizens to finance the Measure S funds. With regard to the Ambulance Services Fund, the citizens of Selma are concerned that money is being taken from the ambulance fund and whether that will affect the level of ambulance services to the city of Selma. In January of 2019, this body reported that there was a balance of over $4.6 million sitting in that account that is apparently not being used toward ambulance services. And now the proposal is to take $2.8 million of that money to put towards something that will not increase ambulance services to the citizens of Selma.
Okay, let's let her close. You're about ready to close, right?
Yes, thank you. I believe what the citizens are asking is that this board exercise its discretion. The citizens can't tell you how to exercise that discretion. The citizens can only ask you that you get all of these questions answered, that you satisfy yourselves that you're making the best decision for the city of Selma. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Is there any more public input tonight?
My name is Danielle Guerra, and I'm a mom of a special education student currently attending Selma High. He is a senior currently. My journey started several years back within our school district. I'm reaching out to you based on what you brought to the table, Mr. Trujillo, at last meeting regarding a community, regarding, students that come up within our school district and have no direction. There's no transition programs. I think we need to dig in to the district's budgets and see where funding is going. I can speak again for a very long journey for myself and my son, who currently we're in the midst of trying to get his diploma, which he's been an exceptional student. I've dealt with the district office on many different occasions, still have. Overall concern is the disconnect. There is no bridge for these students, be it special education, be it a single family home, be it no parent support, and then we end up with what ends up to be criminals in our community. I always say you see them put on orange vests. They go and buy these orange vests because I think they want to find their place of community. And I think we have no other responsibility but to reach out to them within our school districts at the younger age and work together so that we can work as a community And again, I'm here based on what you shared, Mr. Trujillo, and I'm eager to find out what that is and hoping that our school district can somehow work alongside. And I just really felt it was important to bring awareness because it does trickle over to kids you see all day that have now grown into adults who have nowhere to go. Maybe a little more support, job support, opening up some of our businesses here in town to give some job coaching, some job shadowing. I think it all starts there. So thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Joe Alvarez, 13838 South Locan. I just want to first congratulate you guys for hiring the new officers. Thank you guys for that. You guys are doing a great job, and I know it's not an easy job. And Chief, that was awesome to see these officers, young, well equipped, and well prepared, and heroes. They're heroes that fought for our nation, and we live on the best nation, and we got some of these heroes. I was so proud just to hear their experience, what they're bringing to the city of Selma. On that note, I know that we have differences, but I want you guys to understand that the process and the growing, it's going to be hard. We have growing pains, and any project that we take on is always not going to be a perfect, project. There's always going to be things that are going to happen and stuff like that, but I have the confidence that if we start this project, we're going to end this project on a positive note. I have confidence that that the people that are, you guys are sitting up there, the city council, you guys are going to be behind this project, and you guys are going to lead this project forward, and once we break dirt and we get this project on the road, it's going to finish, and it's going to come out to be a blessing for the city of Selma. So I want to encourage you guys just to go forward and have confidence that this project is going to be a blessing. It's going to be a great place for our officers that we have are going to be in a great environment to work in. I'm a chaplain for the police department, and the conference room. I don't know how long it's been since you guys been there, and just the whole place itself. It's sad that for me these guys are my heroes. These guys are the ones that are running toward bullets being shot at, just the danger, and the conference room, where they can go out there and they can meet with the neighborhood watch, and so many different programs that we have here in Selma. We have a great city. Now let's have a great police station. Let's go forward with this project. And you know what? There's a pastor here that he don't got the title as a contractor, but I'm gonna tell you one thing: the man knows what he's doing. He's built a lot of projects around here in Selma and different cities. And I believe that, as concerned citizens, we're going to be there. We're going to stop by. We're going to, I worked in construction all my life too. I just, we just got to start this project, and this project's going to end on a positive note. God bless you guys, and I'll continue to pray for each one of you guys. God bless you guys.
2561 Stillman Street, Alice Barcelos, City Councilman. I asked for you to speak up for us as citizens. We would love to see 3 bids before anything is decided here. You have to put it off for 3 months, put it off for 3 months. Are we going to end up with an $11,000 million piece of junk? Let's get a qualified contractor, and let's get the bids for the citizens that care here in the city of Selma. You do represent us.
Thank you. Okay.
My name is Fernando Montemir. I live at 3231 Joy Street. I've been watching 3 you guys right here. Not one question to this contractor on experience. And this one, no disrespect, you're a joke. Shouldn't be hired. I believe that you guys need to stop this project and get some more bids. It's ridiculous. It's sad. I voted for $4 million in matching funds. Leave Measure C alone. They deserve it, and we need more ambulance and pay more cops and better wages. We're the lowest in Selma. And trust me, Selma's a joke. They're laughing at us, especially three of you guys. Don't ask questions to these guys. That's what you guys are doing. It's sad, Jim. I know you. I know you. Frank, I know you. I went to school with you. Come on. Stop this project. Get 3 bids. Please.
Okay. So with that, we'll bring the matter back to council. Anyone have
I have a comment.
comments? Mayor Pro Tem?
I have a lot of thoughts on this. I want to share my opinion. You know, I appreciate transparency. I appreciate the community who want to do it. So I'm going to be very honest and very transparent. These concerned citizens who are against, have always been against the police station, always finding reason. Okay. Okay, well, let's put it this way.
Okay.
The funding, okay. I'll leave Measure C alone. Okay, would everybody just do me the honor of please, just
let him
listening?
speak. Let's let him speak.
Because, let's be honest, okay? We know that the core base that is against approving this right here, the core group is basically supporters of our mayor. You don't support our mayor?
Speak for yourself, Franco.
I am speaking for myself.
Don't bring
Speak
me
for your-
into it.
yeah,
Okay.
speak for
Address
yourself.
the issue tonight, which
I
is the
am
police
addressing the
station.
issue. The issue
Don't
is-
try to distract by calling me a grandstander or saying that
Yes.
these people are just my supporters. I'm their supporter.
That's
I
right.
support them. That's why I'm
Okay,
passionate about
here's
this.
where was the outrage? Where was the outrage about our finances, right? When we paid a city manager to stop doing his job and sit on his hands for 2 years, $200,000 and do nothing. Where was the outrage? Where was the outrage when our previous city manager was arrested here for fraud, and nobody cared about that? Where was that outrage? Okay, they showed up saying what they showed up saying is, please don't let the police chief be his replacement. Listen, the mayor is on record for being against this project against day one, and he has that right to be it. But
That is not true. Not true.
Not true. Speak for yourself,
Not
Franco.
true.
listen,
Speak your own thoughts, please.
I am speaking my own thoughts. Okay, listen. We're gonna approve. I'm gonna support this police station because it needs to be done. It needs to be done because the longer we wait, the more it costs. More than one occasion, some of us have voted to just wipe it and start from scratch, and that would even cost more. We need to move forward. We need to move forward. You know, you talk about this PLA because you want to save a few cents. We got into it, all of us who voted for got into it because this is talking about bringing careers, bringing some opportunities for our local residents to better their lives. And okay, maybe the cost factor was more than we realized or didn't know, but we're into it, so let's use it. The longer we wait, even if we wait 2 more, 3 more months, the price goes up. We need to move forward. We need to.
You don't know.
I do know that. Yes.
Okay, let's just let him
Okay,
speak.
wait,
Let him-
hold on.
He's not
Mr.
done,
Mayor,
folks.
Mr.
He's not
Mayor.
done.
No, I'm not done.
Mr.
And
Mayor.
you brought it
Let
back
him
to
complete.
council.
Mr. Mayor,
I did.
I
You
brought it
apologize.
back to
I
council.
have it. Thank you. Thank
You brought it back to council.
Please
Li-
let him finish.
Listen, we need to get along. We're going to build this police station. We needed it since 2016, and it was when we voted for it and when Measure P passed. It's time to build it. You know what? I'm not happy with the route it's in. I'm not happy with this thing. I'm not happy that we're divided, but we need to build it and we need to move forward. We need to build it and we need to fill it with cops, and that's what we're going to do. And in the process, we're going to create some opportunities for our citizens to better themselves. And you know what? We're all welcome to our own opinion. We're all welcome to voice it. I get it. And maybe you think it's not the right way to do it, but right now we have the money to build a police station that will serve our community for 30 years. You're worried about the price, not what we need. Oh, we cannot build anything for $8 million that will service our community. Okay. With that, I make a motion to approve with recommended.
No.
Hold on.
You brought it back to council.
I brought it back.
You brought it back to council.
I brought it back.
So
We
I
need-
make a motion to approve this. You can have your comments. They can still talk. They haven't
After
voted.
the second, if there's a support, we
I-
can get a comment on it from the council. Is that correct? And go back.
I make a motion to
Miss-
approve with the two alternate recommended by staff.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so now we can open it to comment.
I second it.
We can open it to comment before the vote.
Okay.
Can I
And
say
I would
something?
ask for public comment. Mr. Ambrose,
What-
go ahead.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr.
if I
Mayor.
may, it's my understanding that once you've taken it back from members of the public, it's now, discussion is held among members of the council. So.
There's
it
a
is-
second.
It is
I'm redirecting to him. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I have.
Go ahead, from
I'd
the
like-
front, and then I'll go to Mr.
Thank you.
Trillo.
Thank you.
Go ahead. 3 minutes, please.
We as the citizens voted, I didn't vote for the extra $4 million, as much as I
Mr. Mayor,
support.
would he please identify himself for the record?
Yes, I'm Chris Ambrose, 2432 Azalea Street. I've been a resident here in Selma for 30 years.
Okay.
I didn't vote for the extra $4 million, as much as I support our men and women in blue. I felt that at the time, $4 million was plenty to build a police station for the city of Selma of 26,000 people. And I still believe $4 million is plenty to build with the opportunity to add on to it. I don't like being challenged by one of our council members as saying that I support Scott in everything he does, because I don't. I'm the first one to come up here when I don't support what you guys are doing. Here's the deal. We're not worried about the money. If you're not worried about the money, Louis, cut a $3 million check out of your own damn account. All right? Because I'm worried about the money. I'm worried about my kids living in this city after I die and having to pick up all these stupid bonds and bills and crap that you guys vote on that we, the citizens, don't agree with. I don't get in bed with anybody. I'm sorry. That's why I couldn't do what you guys do. You guys vote for this, trust me, I'll start a recall like you've never friggin' seen.
Please, go ahead.
Okay, so I have the right to speak, and I'm not going to offend anybody. I just want to say what I've been doing since I got elected, which is we got sworn in December 11th. Someone in the audience said a couple of meetings ago, get educated. Find out what you're doing. Find out that you know what you're actually voting for. You guys don't know what you're doing. You don't read the stuff. I went back and I looked, and I went back, and I actually drove to Fresno, tried to find out what the ambulance fund was, when it was established, how it's generated, how it's funded, how much are we getting funded, how much will we shortfalled. And then I looked into it, and I found out how much we've been spending. Do you know this? I have these right here. 2012, 14, 15, 16. Every year, our city council has budgeted from the ambulance fund. Let me tell you, it's 14-15 budget, 1.45 million, $1,045,000 to go to the general fund to take care of the general fund's shortfalls to make sure we're not in deficit. 2015-16, another shortfall, another good amount to supply our general fund because our capital amount is not enough to sustain our city. I'm not accusing anybody. I'm just giving you some information that I like to get aware of. So when I make a decision, it's a fruit. You guys might not like my decision, but I'm casting my decision based on all my information. It might not be good. I'm an accountant. This is what I do. It might not on social media. I'm the worst accountant in Selma, but it's okay. I've been doing this for 23 years, and I also work for a construction company, so I understand bid, and I understand how your general comes and he gets subs. Matter of fact, I looked at all the subs. I've worked for them. I've been doing construction for 18 years. But I want to go back to the ambulance fund because you guys are stuck on the ambulance fund. Here is the approval by the city council's approval. It's been approved by the city council to go put money from the ambulance fund into the general fund. that has 96 accounts that gets put in any shortfall, and not one person was ever concerned about never it being earmarked. Now look. I'm just giving you information. Mr. Franco brought up a contract. It's actually $280,000 that was given to a person that didn't work for a city for 2 years. It's right here.
Say the name.
Now, here is our city manager took it in for fraud. That got put in. Here it's right here. And here's what he said when he got arrested. I did, however, make an advert purchase as reported for personal reasons, but I didn't think it was a grand aspect. City Manager Fowler got arrested for fraud that we hired. PLA contract resolution. Chief of Police got hired in 2013, got placed as the city acting manager in 2014. For 2 years. Guys, these are 5 things that have occurred. These are 5 things that have occurred in the last 8 years under some of these guys' direction. I said when I started here, I'm not going to point fingers because you know what? As an elected official, I have to come and look at the budget. I have to work with everybody. We have to work together. Sometimes you guys say, oh, you're mean. But you know what? I have a passion too. I get mad. But at the same time, we in the city of Selma have done some decisions that have cost us, but I'm not going to point fingers. And I will make a decision based on decisions that I've looked into. Some of you may not like it, but understand something. I'll take all your accusations under social media. I'll take everything you guys tell me as a person. But understand something. When I got elected, I did it because I love this community. I own 3 businesses. I employ 20 people. And I love this community. So when I make a decision, I've done my due diligence. So accuse me for anything you want, but understand that, you know what? I took an oath in December 2011, but I took an oath to be better for the community, the good and the bad. And right now I followed a decision right now that I look at everything and I want to better this community. So when I make a decision, yell at me, call me things, but understand that I have all the backing and all the information that's gone on in this last community, and I want to better this community. All right? And I'm not accusing nobody, but I'm going to make a decision. It might have hurt some of you guys, but at the end of the day, I have businesses that are going to be affected for the long term and short term, so I'm making a decision, and just understand it. Thank you for all not supporting me or whatever, but thank you.
So yeah, we hear from Councilman Trujillo that he wasn't going to dish any dirt. He used to stand up, and then we get up here, and then he calls me a grandstander and tries to distract us from the debate. I don't care. I'm fine with that. That's part of the debate. But what it does is it distracts us from what we're here to talk about, which is a police station bid, which is outside of our budget that we can't afford. It's that simple. And tonight we're voting on whether, to take money from other accounts and put them towards this police station, which the voters did not tell us to do. They did not direct us to do that. Taking this huge amount from the ambulance fund, this ambulance fund money popped out of nowhere. Supposedly the Intergovernmental Transfer Fund paid us a couple years in advance. Who knows if they'll be asking for their money back? The government's been known to do things before. Measure S. The fire department needs money to build their station too. It's not just all about the police station. We need to coexist and do things for all departments here. So we've also heard about the project labor agreement. Project labor agreement was the brainchild of our city manager that Mr. Franco brought in, Mr. Perea and Chuck Rojas, and we signed it without knowing what we had in the term. Do you know what I do now? I carry the PLA around with me. I carry it around. I read it all the time. And I have some serious questions, and I'm not a lawyer, but I have some very serious questions about this. The issue I have is time-based. Why are we rushing this? Again, we are rushing this. From the very start, this has been crammed down our throats. Just pass it. Just vote it through. Let's just get it done. I think it's time. It's time now, after 3 years, to take a couple more months and be prudent and look into this and see if we get the grants from the state rather than using our internal funds at the fire department, that ambulance, that other services can use for the city. It's time to give it some time, because so far our approach hasn't worked. So my recommendation would be to reject this bid and to go back out in 2 or 3 months after we see whether we get this grant from our state assembly and Senate members, to see if we get this money, this outside money, and then we go out to bid, and we go out without the PLA, the Project Labor Agreement. And if we don't get the grant, we rescale the project down to what we can afford and the voters authorize us to do. And no, they don't support me, I support them. You can smirk all you want, but that's how I feel. So with that,
Okay.
we have a second. Anybody else have any more comments?
I'd like to second that. Are we making a motion?
Oh, I appreciate that, but I think that's a moral second.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Call the roll, please.
Okay, we got a motion on what?
Approving the bid.
I'm not approving.
Mr. Franco voted to it. Can we get a,
Yeah.
it's been a while.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you,
please.
Mr.
Thank you.
Mayor. I appreciate that. We had a motion and a second to approve the matter as recommended, award of the construction contract to Catch Environmental. And if I recall correctly, there is a resolution that would be adopted as a part of the motion. Resolution 2019, I'm not quite excuse me. It would be Resolution 2019-13R, is that correct, Madam City Clerk?
It would be 14R.
14R. Resolution 2019-14R. And I asked Mayor Pro Tem Franco, does that confirm your motion?
Yes, I approve staff recommendations with the alternates to approve for the bid project.
And adoption of the resolution 2019-14R. And that's correct on the second?
Yes, that's correct on the second.
And-
That's what's before you, Mr. Mayor.
And encumbering the funds and authorizing the change orders. Thank you.
Oh, and by the way, don't worry about what the unions are going to do on legal action. Worry about the citizens. With that, we'll call for a roll call. Call the roll, please. We're getting ready to call the roll, sir. We'll have oral communications.
Mayor Pro Tem Franco?
Aye.
Councilmember Avalos?
Aye.
Councilmember Guerra?
No.
Councilmember Trujillo?
Aye.
Mayor Robertson?
No. With that, it passes. Over budget. All right. Thanks, everybody, for their input tonight. Okay, with that, we will move on to departmental reports. City Manager.
All right. Sorry about that, Mr. Mayor. Just 1 second here. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Just wanted,
Hope you guys enjoyed 2020. 2022. Go ahead. City
thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just want to let you know that we will be bringing the district election staff report to our next regularly scheduled agenda. We are working on a planning project list, Councilmember Guerra. I have not forgotten about that, so that we are working on that. We just have a shortage of staffing in that area.
Can we keep it down back there, please? We're trying to finish the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Also, we reviewed proposals for on-call planning consultants, and we'll be bringing that back to council for recommendation. And we did receive 5 applications for the planning manager, which we'll start reviewing. Thank you.
City Attorney,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no report at this time.
Finance Director.
Hi, just a reminder, we do have our budget hearing, our first workshop. It's going to be on April 23rd. It'll start at 9 o'clock. So we'll.
We're going to do 9, but we're going to do 9 to 9:30 on that closed session item that we discussed. 23rd at 9? 23rd. Okay. Public Works?
Nothing to report this time, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Police Chief Peterson?
Update. As you know, I missed the last meeting. We were back in Nebraska doing a final inspection on the new engine. Got a few pictures here if you're interested. Everything went real smooth. There was just a couple minor fixes that they're doing right now. It should be out here within the next week or two, hopefully. And we'll have an opportunity to do some final checks, pick some places for some mounts, things like that, and then that'll get done. We're hoping to have it in service. Hopefully things go well at the end of May.
It's very nice.
Yeah,
Are they driving it back? Is someone drive from the department?
No, someone from the dealer. They're going to drive it out and give us an opportunity to take a look at it and then take it to Southern California where they'll do all the final.
Is that the one replacing the one that was damaged in the fire a couple years ago?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. So that was essentially paid for
I believe so. I believe the insurance covered everything on it. Yeah.
Insurance?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you for the update. Chief Garner?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. We had a pretty busy weekend here in Selma. This past weekend, we had our first Bringing Neighbors Together event here at Lincoln Park. Part of our series of 6 community events we'll be holding throughout the summer. Nearly 500 people attended the event at Lincoln Park, and it went really well. Folks were able to receive a lot of information on services that they may need, as well as a food giveaway and a positive message of the future of our city. We also had we also participated in the Sikh parade that took place yesterday. Another very successful event. We were able to escort, my estimate, somewhere in excess of 5,000 people through the city yesterday without any incident, through the help of literally hundreds of volunteers, the California Highway Patrol, and our officers. So it turned out to be a very successful event without incident. So that's it.
Okay. That will move on to community parks and recreation.
I just want to say, it's on. So I don't forget names. If everybody could stand up, we help with the community cleanup this weekend at the near Pioneer Village. I know there's about 4 or 5 of you. I wanted to do 2 things. One is to recognize that we had a really good day, and 2 is to just to kill on social media. I know we don't always believe everything, but there were some comments about how we moved the homeless, which we did, and we moved it effectively. The comments was concern was we took away all their stuff. That was not true. We allowed them to take their stuff and move. Everything we took and threw away is what they left. So I just want to make sure that as a council you understood that we gave them the opportunity. They took everything that they wanted to take, and we didn't take away any of their things that they needed.
Where were they located?
Right there in that property next to Pioneer Village near Kettleman's. We're removing all the oleanders, and so they were housed right there. We've had several calls of complaints also. So we were respectful. Yeah, and the owner's permission. When we had talked about in the weekly report that the owner gave us permission, and he's going to come out and remove the oleanders and kill them themselves too. So we had a lot of collaboration for that.
Great, thank you. Oh, Pioneer Village, are we renting that out to churches now? Is it becoming a site for churches? I mean, has that been done in the past with the city, or is that a new thing?
This will be a new thing, temporary. This will be coming to council for, it'll be an ongoing temporary until they're looking at a regular site in Selma.
So until the church finds a permanent spot, they're looking to rent space at Pioneer Village?
Correct.
Okay.
But that's temporary again, just.
And that's coming to council for?
We're looking for May 6th.
Why would that be? Why would it actually come to council? Is it something?
Because you have to approve it. It'd be a full agreement. You'd have to approve the agreement.
A tenant?
Yeah.
For Pioneer Village?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. With that, we'll turn it back to council. Councilmember Trujillo.
I attended the Sikh parade also a little late, but I got my numbers wrong. The other issue, I'm actually like I brought up the last time in regards to the city school districts community organization I'm heading. I've met with some church groups. I'm meeting with the city manager and the city chief of police, and I'll be scheduling a meeting with the superintendent and the school district. So I'll be coming back and bringing you what we would like to propose and see what you guys can help or give advice to and go from there.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Guerra?
Okay. Thursday, I attended a meeting with the League of Cities, and it was a really good, informative meeting. It went over SB2, additional funding, grants for our city. Saturday, I attended the Girls Softball League closing ceremonies. And then on Sunday, I also attended the Sikh Parade, which was really just a beautiful event. And it was nice to see all of us that were there, city manager also and chief. So it was a really nice event for our city, our community, and they're continuing to grow. They started with just probably 100 people at one time, and now they're up to about 10,000. So a really nice event for Selma. That's it.
Councilmember Avalos?
I attended the SKF meeting. Actually, tomorrow we're having a budget workshop meeting on the cost of the rates that are going to probably occur or not occur. They're going to give us an analysis for and I'll be bringing it back to you before we move on it. That way, everybody, the council here, the city of Selma, and the rest of the city should have that information before we vote on that particular matter.
When is the budget? Is that what you're going to be voting on, the budget for next year?
Yeah.
Do we know what?
Well,
we're gonna
we
have in
won't know.
terms of
I
rate
won't know
increases?
until tomorrow, because as your advocate of Selma here, I'm trying to keep the cost down. Trust me. I addressed that issue to our SKF group. Try to minimize good cost savings for our payers for the city of Selma. So, I mean, I understand the cost of living is going up, everything, but I try to minimize some cost that may occur, but we look at avenues, how to cost savings, and they're doing a good job at it.
When is the McCall line going to be done?
I addressed that issue. It's a year project. I think they're ahead of schedule, Scott. I addressed that issue the other day when I'm meeting. I asked them to give me a timeline. I says, Avalos, we can't give you a timeline, but they're actually ahead of schedule. I think 2 or 3 weeks now ahead of schedule. So they're each week they're actually getting better at it. It depends on the soil, the traffic, or whatever. Farmers, they have to go through farmland.
They have a contractor that they hired.
Yeah.
With a bond, and
so they're doing
requiring them to do it on time.
Yeah, so they're doing their diligent job.
Without defects.
It's supposed to be done at the end of the year, right?
Huh? Yeah. And
By the end of the year.
Yeah.
End of-
Oh yeah, before the end of the
end
year.
of 19.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And also I attended the image celebration. It was a good event. Yes, it is getting bigger and bigger every year. And I thank the ROTC that helped out with that, and our staff here in the city of Selma that helped out working with the volunteers that helped put that parade together. The police department, fire department, are people that really helped out in our community make this thing work, and it worked. And the leaders of the churches were very pleased how it came out, and they thanked the city. And that's all I got to say.
Mayor Pro Tem Franco?
As well as the rest of you, I attended the Sikh parade. I have to apologize for Councilmember Trujillo being late because I asked for a ride and I said, don't worry, we don't have to be there till 10:30. So that was the reason it was late, is my bad memory. So my apologies for that. Also, Teresa, on the intersection of Mill and Orange, there's a canal. Every year CID, when the water flows, they clean out their debris, and they're supposed to come back and pick it up, but they take a long time. If we could call them, because once they clean it out, it somehow starts to grow. It's not too bad right now. And I think there's actually a trash can in the canal itself, so maybe we could call them, pick it up. Maybe if it's even small enough, we could call them, and then we'll pick it up. I don't know. But Mill and Orange. Mill and Orange, just off the...
right there by that church there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Attended the Bringing Neighbors Together event at the park. Also attended the belated thank you. Believe it or not, I was awarded Citizen of the Year for the chamber this year. And so I want to thank the chamber and everybody who voted me for that. And on Friday, I had a brief discussion with Senator Hurtado, our state senator. She has put in a official request to help Selma supplement their police station. This is something both the mayor and I have been meeting with her, but we were not discussing it until the official ask has been put in. So right now, the center is advocating for us, as well as the city itself, for an additional money. I think originally we talked about an additional 2.8, but the actual number hasn't been identified yet. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. So I was at the Sikh temple as well, celebrate the 25th anniversary of their Visasaki commemoration on Sunday. Thousands and thousands were out there. The ROTC did a great job. I got to meet Rich Ritchie there, who is the newest Consolidated Irrigation District board member. And I know in the past it's been an issue with that stuff that they leave.
Right. It grows.
Orange,
People add to it.
At the canal at Orange and Rose. So maybe we could leverage some relationships and try to get them, because in the past they haven't been willing to come out and pick it up. And maybe, you know, if you don't make any headway with Phil Desktop, the general manager, maybe you could let us know. Maybe some of us could do some outreach there. I heard there's a report that PG&E rates are going to skyrocket 50% or something. I'm hearing things. Can we check that out? I mean, that would, so we pay their lawsuit costs now? I mean, I keep hearing different things. If you could just check in. I think we have a PG&E liaison. We haven't seen the person in a couple years, but maybe we could find out what's going on there. I'm meeting with Supervisor Mendez on Wednesday. If council has any issues, let me know. You want to talk about any county issues, I can bring those up. I saw where there were a couple incidents in Reedley last weekend. Their police chief was on the TV and said that he was asking for more help, you know, with finding the culprits. And I think it said somewhere in the story that gang injunctions have been used there successfully for 15 years. So that was definitely something that we could benefit from in this city. I attended a Calvans board meeting. We have mostly COs, correctional officers vans here, that the state actually gives to the drivers. It's a really good program. And when they first started out, they couldn't find enough people to give them to. And now they're fully subscribed. So it's a program that's really working in the state. I attended the League of Cities dinner in Fresno. Finally, I cleaned the kennels at Second Chance Animal Shelter on Saturday. It was a good day. And I just want to say, with all what we did tonight, I'm looking forward to a time when we can get together on these projects that benefit the city. It's really very important that we get together and we do them the right way and we have the support of everybody. My inclination and my repeated urging on this has been to go slow so we can get everybody on board, so we can do things the right way and we can make this city united. And that takes time. That's not something we can rush into. So with that, I will pull it back to oral communications. Would anyone like to come up and address the council one last time?
Pastor Marty Lynch, Christ-Driven Assembly, 1801 2nd Street. You know, I wanted to come up and tell you guys something. You know, I sat here at city council whenever I can make it, and I would be here all the time. This is just my heartbeat, but I live east of Dinuba up on Smith Mountain, and so it's a long way going back and forth. But I sat here tonight and I think about how I need to ask the Lord for my problem of coveting, because you guys all sit in one of the most blessed situations that I wished I had access to. I migrated to this area, and I ended up in Kingsburg years and years ago. I bought land and homes in Fowler, migrated this way, and was in staff in a church here in the 90s as a youth minister, and bought the block of land that I actually own it, where our church sits, in that whole block, in nine pieces of property. But we are not in a position to be able to sit in your position because we don't live in the city proper. My sons attended Emmanuel and went to Manual and graduated out in Reedley. I pioneered a church in Selma. My properties are in Fowler. I came from Kingsburg. I'm loyal to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I love this place. Mayor, you are the mayor of one of the best cities I've ever been part of.
Amen.
It really hurts me when you turn the TV on and you see the buffoons in Fresno talking about this community, and I wonder where the division's coming from. This is a great town. I chose to be here. And I can't even speak in your position because I can't sit there. I don't live here. I choose to come, and it's not because we live, that's our ranches are out there east of Dinuba on Smith Mountain. But I want to be here. I was eating lunch last week with my wife in Kingsburg, and we walked out. She's employed there. And I said, listen to the music, and I said, man, it's just a, and I said, it feels so good and safe over here. She says it's a false sense of security. We love this community. I love what went on tonight. I don't like the fact that everybody can't seem to, since 2016, we can't take no's or what we don't, it's ridiculous. The Bible says, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Outside that, it comes from the evil one. This is just the democracy we live in, is just a, mayor, council members, we need to spend more time on what's above your head than numbers and things. In God we trust. This is a great community, full of great schools, full of great churches. You know my position. I love this police department. I love the chief. It may not resonate with some of you, but every single one of you that I know well, haven't got a chance to know Councilman Guerra very well, and I've got a chance to meet our city manager now, but I'm this way. There's nothing you can do to me that I wouldn't go down to Foster Freeze and want to have a milkshake with you. I learned years ago in my life, bitterness, unforgiveness, it's just a killer of humanity. I just want to see this town, especially on this week, as we are going to fill our sanctuaries this Sunday. And just think about it. May the 2nd, I think, we're going to be our National Day of Prayer. Wouldn't it be an amazing thing to see everyone come and bond together in unity for God to do something? I would never want that to come off that wall. But I can't never take my eyes off of it. In God we trust. I love this town. I wish I could do what you're doing. They're not going to ever let me. But my money's here. My time is here. My heart is here. My life is here. I choose to be here when I could be anywhere else. All of you sit in the best situation, I think, in this valley. You're in the same place I am. I pastor the best church in the San Joaquin Valley. It ain't big, but it's the best. You know why? Because I love it. I love this council. Scott, I don't agree with you. Avalos, as one of my brothers said back here, but that doesn't change anything. It just means, well, maybe next time. I don't have a dog in the race for the police station one way or the other. I just know this. I do know construction, and it ain't going down ever. It increases and multiplies exponentially. I know. But then there's a lot of wisdom in waiting. I get it. But if you're between a rock and a hard place, darn if we don't, darn if we do, then the common sense that was spoken tonight is you got to get something done. You got to do something. So, man, I love you guys. I enjoy being here every chance I get. And I just want to tell you I support you all. May not agree with you all the time, but I agree. I just support you. I love you, Scott. I love your family. Love all you guys. Look forward to being just connected together. But this town needs prayer. This town needs God's intervention, needs a touch of the Holy Spirit. We got an opportunity, May 2nd. See who shows up.
Thank you, Marty.
That's-
Appreciate
That's
your
not
sentiments.
us. That's the national day.
Appreciate it. And I just want to know that, everybody should have their right to stand up there, whether I agree with them or we agree with them, and speak their
Man,
piece,
this is
just like Marty
America.
did. Thank you.
This is
Would
America. This is
would
what we
anyone
get to
else,
do.
that's why we're here, would anyone else like to come up and address the council?
Leslie Nelson, 2413 Country Club Lane. I wanted to add to Michael's response on our Selma community cleanup. The fire department, a lot of the guys came out and we couldn't have done it without them. It was amazing, their hard work, their trucks. We had a great time. Really and truly, we had a great time. And so now the challenge is on with the police department. Thank you.
Right. Okay.
My name is Drew Albrecht once again. Now, as a responsible party for National Day of Prayer, I want to invite you guys to come on down and join us. Each one of you guys are invited, and believe me, we pray for each one of you guys. We know that the decisions you guys make are not going to be, well, they're not going to be pleasing to everybody. And Scott, Mayor Scott, this is nothing personal, guys. This is, we love you guys. We pray for you guys. We never want to be able to stop and talking to you guys, praying for you guys. So wherever we're at, you know what? That's why I tell people, hate doesn't have nothing positive. It's hate. And that's not what this community is all about. Sanger, I'm working with Orange Cove right now, Victor Lopez out there. And let me tell you guys, man, you guys have a beautiful city. We have a beautiful city. Sanger, they have more problems than we do, but they don't put it out in the media like we have some people that are negative and they put everything negative. We have a great city. We have a great city. We have a great city council. I come to you guys as defense and I say, they're great. You know what I mean? You guys do a great job. But people just hear the negative because that's the news that people want to hear. And so I just want to let you guys know we're praying for you guys. We love you guys. And there's anything my church or anybody of my family can do for you guys, we're here for you guys. We come running. We're here to serve. We're here to put our love in action. And just know that on May the 2nd, we want to see you guys out there. And we want to pray for you guys just like we pray for our officers. And just know that, you know what, we're your #1 fans. God bless you guys, and we're at your service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Watch the arm.
1057 Mill Street, Rose Robertson. I also spend money here, property tax. So with the additional $3 million that you three voted, I know Councilmember Guerra has requested a spreadsheet for new business coming in. I haven't heard or even seen a follow-up from Isaac or the city manager on when you guys will be getting that spreadsheet so we could start, trying to find that additional $3 million to replace the $3 million that's going to go out. So do you know when that's going to be coming, Teresa?
The council request was for projects that are in the pipeline,
Right,
and
the
so
spreadsheet.
we are working on that. Just with a shortage in the staffing, as I explained in my city manager's report, it's just taking a little bit longer, but I will try to get that out in the next couple of weeks.
Very good. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
One more.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Mayor Robertson, City Council. My name is Kealoha Ka'olelapono. I'm a pastor here in the community of Selma, and I am from Dinuba, 42804, row 96. Hearing all this tonight and taking a lot of thought, and I learned a lot sitting here watching all this, and what a privilege and an honor it was to be here. To see a wonderful ceremony of our police officers coming into this community. To see the council and the people react to what we're doing here tonight. I just gotta say, like Matthew chapter 6, verse 22, it says, "Seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you." My entire life, I've only known one thing, and I've known Jesus Christ. It seemed to support and help and bring my life together 100%. And I can thank this man right here for all of that. My father didn't start off right, neither did my mom, but they both decided to make a different life for me and my brother. I can say I've been a part of the church and in the ministry my entire life, and I enjoy it and I love it. And I can say, Mayor Robertson, since I've met you, I've loved you. And I love you, council, just like I love the chief, just like I love this community. I was born here, but I never lived here. Lived through Kingsburg, Fowler, and I live now currently in Dinuba. But I feel I have the closest relationship with this community. Serving at the broken neighborhoods, the other day, I found such a joy to be there with the people, to serve, and I just wanted to keep serving because I figured out that it's not about what we can make in money. It's not about what we can do, whether we're right or wrong, but it's about just Jesus Christ and him alone. I figured out that once we have that, we have everything we ever need. The Lord says, we can say we're right, but all men's ways are right in their own eyes, but the Lord weighs the heart. At the end of our days, he's going to look us in the face and ask us what we did and what it's worth and how we served him. We can say we're right as long as we want to say. I can say I'm right, you can say you're right, but there's just one way to, at the end of this, is to say that we love each other. We absolutely got to do this together, right? I am proud to be a pastor in this community. And I am proud to be a youth pastor and associate pastor with my father. I am proud to be a worship leader. And I'm proud to be here tonight. I wish there was other 21-year-olds here tonight. But all I can say is God bless you. And have a wonderful night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more public input tonight? Is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? We're adjourned.